Hello, Houston. Welcome to the Houston Real Estate Talk with Stone and Fields. I am here today with Tobias Engel, and I am Kariliz Perez. Toby is also a realtor from Stone and Fields. How you doing, Toby?
Good. I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you so much. So what is it that you want to talk today to everybody who's watching?
So this morning I did some research of the research that's been done in the market in Houston, but also nationally. And I have some data and some trends and some little know-it-all things that I'd like to present to you.
Wonderful. So let's get into it. Tell me a little bit about the Houston market in general. What's happening? What have we seen this month? Well, these couple of months, the summertime.
Right. So it's September, so we're waiting for the data of August, which isn't available yet. But for July, we saw a continuation of the trends basically that we've seen in the past 12 months, really. A little bit remarkable, but it was more an oddity, was that in July, actually, we saw a drop of the number of sales of single-family homes. But that's more because in July last year, we were just, getting used to COVID, and there were so many closings that had been pushed up, and then they all closed in July. So therefore, now in July, we see a slight drop, but actually, it's not really a change in trends.
I see.
And we did see the home prices compared to July last year increase by 13%. So that's enormous.
Yes. Yeah. Usually we see a 3% year after year of prices increases, but 13% sounds a lot.
Right.
Like a lot. And actually, every time we go to put an offer, we can tell people are submitting offers above asking. So that's definitely what's driving that price increase to be so significantly more, right?
So there was one little thing that was quite remarkable and a slight hint of good news. Mm-hmm. And that is that inventory in Houston reached a 1.8 month supply in July, which is down 2.9 from last year. So that's a drop, which is not good. And mind you, in Houston, it's 1.8, but nationally it's 2.6. So in Houston, we have very low inventory. The light at the horizon, though, is that this is the greatest supply of homes that we've had in 2021. So hopefully this trend will continue and that the inventory will increase, because that's really what's hurting in the market.
And it's definitely what we need. So that way we can feel a little bit more stable, a more healthy market. Definitely the normal would be 6 months of inventory, and we are at 1.8. So we still have a long way to go, but hopefully we'll get there sometime maybe next week. Not next week, next year. Right.
So also I heard that the inventory for leases is very low. So I think we're at near 90% of occupancy, which is really high.
Right.
And therefore, the number of leases of townhomes and condominiums actually dropped by 10%.
Okay.
But you can see there's a tightness in the market because the rent went up with 5.8%.
Okay.
So people are looking for leases.
Right. And one of the reasons, to add a little bit to that part of the leases, one of the reasons why we see leases doing so well is because people are having such a difficult time finding a house that they can buy, that they can afford, or even that they win because they're competing with so many others in the market. Then they end up deciding, I'm not going to buy now. I'm going to postpone it for another year, and I'm going to go lease. So leases have a strong demand just because simply, it's so difficult to find a house during these, market situations where we have only 1.8 of inventory and so much competition.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we also see that in another way. So many people are looking for single family homes, 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom with a yard, very much driven by a change of demand because of COVID.
Of course.
But because of lack of inventory in that particular sector, we see enormous increases as well in the purchase of condominiums and townhomes. So 11 townhomes went up 11% compared to last year, and condominiums went up with 10%.
Right. That's very
Yeah.
interesting. Yes, the trend obviously that we've been seeing for the last year is bigger yards, more bedrooms, office. However, we expect that sometime in the near future, in next year or so, we see more people coming back into the city as they start going back to the offices. We've been getting used to working from home, but now companies are slowly but surely asking their employers and employees to go back to the office. So we're going to see more and more of people coming back into the city and not as much to the suburbs, and with houses, looking for houses with such a bigger yard and square footage and footprint in general.
Yeah.
Yes. What can you tell me about what we're going to expect in the fall? What's going to happen? What do you think?
So I think we can only speak of hope, really.
Yes.
But we see a slight increase of inventory, so that's positive. And what's interesting is traditionally people would list their homes before summer, so that they would profit from couples typically buying a home when their kids are out of school. And then once school starts again in August, you see a decline in demand. This time around, you see people listing after the summer as well. So people are still listing their homes, which hopefully will lead to the increase in inventory.
Right.
But it's not very likely that we'll see a decrease in demand because interest is still very low, and it's likely to stay low even into, going into next year. So currently you can get a 30-year mortgage for 2.86%, which is just incredibly low.
Super low. Yes,
Yeah.
It's amazing. That's very good. Very good. Tell me a little bit about the age groups. We talked about that before we started the podcast.
Yeah.
Do you have any information about that?
So if we talk about ages, and then maybe start at the lower age where you would typically find the first-time home buyers. That's a little bit sad and depressing, actually, because the percentage of first-time home buyers is decreasing rapidly. And obviously that's not by choice, but that's really because they're being pushed out of the market and just can't afford, or, being pushed out by older age groups with cash, more capital,
Yes.
And so let me see, 37% in 2021, only 37% of the buyers were first-time buyers, while in 2020, so that's only 1 year ago, it was nearly half at 43%.
Wow.
So that's quite a big drop.
Yes.
And that's not very, very healthy sign.
I agree.
Because
I agree.
you want everyone
to have the opportunity.
To have the opportunity to buy their first home.
Of course.
Such a big step.
And maybe these first-time home buyers that they decided, okay, this is not the right time for me to buy, then these are the same ones that are now leasing, right? They're either extending their leases or leasing for the first time because they just graduated from college, and then they, or they just got their first job and they decided, okay, this is not for me. I'm not ready to compete, and I'm not ready, or I can't afford such a high price for a house that a year ago or 2 years ago was probably $50,000 less, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that's amazing.
So if we go back to ages, then the largest age group purchasing homes at the moment is between 30 and 39 years old, which is 26%. But nevertheless, there's almost 3/4 of somewhat similar proportion. So 30 to 39 is 26%. But 40 to 49 is 23%, and above 60 is also 23%.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those are very low numbers compared to other years, right?
Right. Yeah. And then apparently the age group from 50 to 59, they stay put, and it's only 12%.
Okay.
And then the lower age group from 18 to 29 is 17%.
Right.
And I guess traditionally that's where you would find your first-time home buyers.
Correct.
That are now not buying.
Right.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that some, there's a specific group that they stay put. And let's elaborate on that. And that means that because it's so competitive out there, maybe it's a good time to sell, to be a seller, because you're going to get more money for your house. You're going to get probably, the best, it might be the best time for you to sell. However, if you're a seller that has to buy, it's going to be challenging as well. So you're going to get a lot of money on the sale, but you're going to have to pay a lot of money on the purchase. So a lot of people say, well, this is going to be difficult. I'm going to be competing. I'm going to have to pay a lot more than what I thought I would. Let me just wait. Let me just stay put and not do anything until probably next year or so, right? And that's what's happening as well with this market with this age group that you mentioned in their 50s or so, because they don't want to go through that struggle. It's a lot of work. It could be frustrating for some. Having to compete and submit multiple offers in different houses, right? Every weekend seeing houses and then submitting here and there. At the end, they're like, okay, I'm just not going to move and I'm going to wait. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, about multiple offers, there was an interesting statistic. So only 36% of all buyers got their home with one offer. 36%. While last year, that was still 48%. And the year before, over half of all buyers only needed to do one offer and they got their home.
Yeah.
So, and now 60% has to make 2 or more offers, while last year that was still 40%.
That's very competitive, very competitive.
So it's almost it goes without saying that you have to prepare your client, your buyer, that he or she will need to do multiple offers before they can buy.
Yes.
So you were talking about, okay, if I have to sell, then probably I'll need to buy. And there's such two different, situations.
Right.
But for me personally, we decided to sell, but realized that it would sell easier if we fixed up our home, and move out. Because obviously showing a home is easier if there's no one living there. So we decided to rent a smaller home, and it was okay because we knew it would be temporary. Sold our home and then took our time buying our next home while we were okay in our little rental.
Right. That's a great plan. That's a great plan. And that's a good advice as well for those who are considering and they're ready to move, but they don't know how to work out the plan. What you did, was perfect. Now, we understand that not everybody has, some people have kids and, more complicated situations, but it's not bad, consider of selling first, moving into an apartment, make the house ready, stage it, paint, do all the touch-ups, the maintenance, the updates that needs to be. So when the buyer goes, they see a move-in ready house, and then you have more possibility of selling quicker. So that way you can go and have the money available to purchase a house.
And maximize your sales price.
Exactly. So move-in ready is key these days as well.
And also it takes the stress off buying, which can be horrendous, and it needs to be an exciting thing to do. And it could be stressful. And it's also, it's not nice buying a house, having in your back mind, that you might pay too much or, where's the market going?
True. Taking their time, thinking and strategizing, what's the next step is very important. Right. The market has changed a lot. So my advice is contact your realtor, find what's happening, what would work best, discuss different scenarios of how to proceed and what to do or not to do before you get started on this journey of buying or selling a house, right?
Yeah. And try and avoid stress and, make sure your back is not against the wall.
Exactly.
But you can take your time because that's what the market forces you to do at the moment.
That is so true.
I also did some research. So Zillow just published their consumer housing trends report last Wednesday. And there were some little bits that were quite interesting about who's buying and about the market. So the number of LGBTQ plus home buyers, which Zillow started surveying on in 2019, so 2 years ago only. And in 2019, it was 7% only of all buyers, tagged as LGBTQ. And by now it's gone up to 12%.
Oh, that's great.
So, the gays are buying, and that's an interesting segment.
Right.
They have a high disposable income, no kids, and so they're buying homes, and it's good to see that increase.
That trend going up,
Then some little things that I think it's just interesting to know. 40% of all home buyers have kids. 40% 4% have parents or in-laws living with them.
Very
4%,
interesting.
yeah.
Wow.
So it would be interesting to see if this is increasing or not, but
Okay.
we don't have that data at the moment.
Okay.
And what percentage do you think has a dog?
Lots of people have dogs, so over 20 something percent.
You're
More?
way off. It's
Really?
more than 50%
Oh,
have a
wow.
dog. Yeah.
Yes.
And cats, 39%.
Okay.
So I thought that was really funny.
Absolutely.
And well, that's about
That's very
that's about
interesting.
it.
I
Yeah.
like it. Thank you, Toby. Very good. And I hope everybody's, keeping track with what's happening in Houston market. Again, find out what's happening in specific area of town. If you're interested, call your realtor and get all the facts before you get on the wagon, right? Anything else we should add before we say goodbye to our viewers?
I don't think so.
No, we're good.
We'll till next time, right?
Exactly. We'll see you all next month with another market update from Toby.
Yeah, we'll be waiting for the August figures, and let's see whether the market went up or down, and most important, what's the inventory like?
Yes, that's the key. That's the key, and that's what's going to determine how the fall is going to be at the end, right? All right. So thank you again. And Toby, if somebody wants to ask you more questions about the market or need help with their real estate needs, how can they call you and where?
They can email me at tobias@stoneandfields.com, or they can give me a call, 832-922-8024.
Very good. You heard it from Toby. Thank you so much, everybody. And don't forget to follow us on social media. We also are in YouTube, so follow the Houston Real Estate Talk. And thank you very much. Stay tuned.